Here's the one thing, I do want to sprinkle in a little more CFL talk here, and we'll get Angus Reid's take on where we stand in Canada with the CFL in a moment. But the WHL will be back. Obviously, the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, they're all going to be back. The question is with the CFL. And I'm really trying to figure out whom I believe. Some of us, can I call myself a pundit in the CFL now? Would that be?
Sure.
What would be the best?
Yeah. I think that's...
Advocate?
Advocate? No. You are an advocate.
I'm trying to piece together every bit of info from everybody that I talk to.
Yeah.
And Nick Lewis was a really good resource yesterday in his interview in terms of the business model being changed for the CFL, that it needs to change. Well, I was talking to my wife about this last night over supper. Hey, if we had a vote around here and we talked about the business model of the RP show had to change. Hey, Rod. Hey, Darren. You need to take pay cuts. How do you feel about that? No. Motion denied. We move on.
Yeah.
Right? So if we say the GMs and the presidents and the guys that are making all the money in the CFL, you guys need to take pay cuts. You know who's going to make the decision on how the business model will change in the CFL? The business makers in the CFL.
Not you and me.
Well, I'm just saying.
We can push them, but yeah.
They're the guys that have kind of put the CFL in this position. I can't see them voting to take pay cuts themselves. Now, that's the one thing. That's where Nick kind of, zeroed in on. The CFL comes back, the business model needs to change, and I will not hold my breath on that. But we also then can't decide as a fan base of the CFL, people that love the CFL, what the next CFL should be. Because I think, and I've said it how many times, and I think you agree with me, to continue to fight with the NFL is not worth it. It's just not worth it.
No.
And yet, and I just, to say it's easier, I don't like saying that. I could see my dad just whipping me with his belt if I said that it's easier. Don't want to take the easier way. It's the smarter way. Because there are those, I'm hearing it a lot, and these are from the football purists in the country. Rod, the CFL was built on Canadians. Shoot, Brian Propp talked about Jerry James earlier, Lionel Conacher, those kinds. Yes, they built the CFL. But is that what we're going back to? Is that what we need to go back to? A league that's 90 to 95% Canadian? We can, but don't necessarily tell me the last 50 years the CFL has been built on Canadians, because it hasn't. Just here where we live. Ronnie and George. That's all you heard about growing up. George and Ronnie. Ron and George. They're Americans. Ron Lancaster and George Reed. What are we talking about? Doug Flutie, Bo Levi Mitchell, the vote for the all-time Stamps quarterback. So I'm sorry. I like the idea of a 10-team CFL featuring the best Canadian players with only the best Americans that are willing to come up here. Can you sell it? Because football fans on this continent are wise enough to see the disparity between NFL football and what will be a U Sports All-Star League. They can see it.
Yeah.
Can you sell it? And can you fill beautiful new stadiums in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, refurbished in Ottawa, and new stadium in Hamilton? Can you sell that? I don't think you can, folks. There's just not enough fans of that. But if you go to NFL 2, NFL Canada, all of a sudden you're marketing to the world.
The world is so much smaller than it's ever been. I grew up with 2 channels when I started. So you got Canadian channel and Canadian channel. So you got Canadian content and Canadian content, right? Now you got Brady, who's a young kid, and his most favorite team is an American NFL team in Seattle.
Right.
You got the kids who are so exposed to North America and the world. So it's no longer that we're only exposed to our country. So it was built off of that. Now we're exposed to the world. You have to compete. The competition is so much stronger.
Joe Lazito's watching in New York. He says, RP, CFL pundit, advocate, ambassador. Well, those Canadian football purists probably wouldn't like me being tabbed as an ambassador, because I'm saying this model that we have right now isn't working. And Neil Shuchuk's watching in Whitecourt, Alberta. He says, CIS football is all Canadian. It doesn't sell like the CFL. None of them sell like the NFL. So it's the phrase, if you can't beat them, join them. Anyways, we'll take a break, come back with a sports update. We got Angus Reid coming up, BC Lions great. We'll get his take on all these things. Stick around. It's the RP Show, Facebook Live, Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpeterson.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.